On completing the NC500, we soon realised that we needed to install a much bigger grey wastewater tank. Temporarily, I'd fitted a 25 litre drum underneath the sink, and we were finding that we needed to empty that about every 3 days or so, and it was becoming a real struggle trying to find somewhere to empty it. So our friends at GFG Plastics in Hull have built me a much bigger grey wastewater tank that we're about to fit underneath our van, and I'm going to show you guys how. This is our new 60 litre water tank, which should give us up to 9 days of storage. Like all the fresh water tanks inside our van, this too has been made by GFG Plastics in Hull to our own design. Their tanks come super strong, and they're also baffled to stop all the water sloshing about. This tank is going to be drained electronically using an electronic valve and a switch from inside the van. That's going to be supported by a camera so we can see exactly where we're draining our water. The tank is going to be supported on the bottom of our van using these called hook bolts and this called Unistrut. It's going to be wrapped in insulation and have a built-in heater as well. This small bracket was the only obstruction where our tank was to fit. Off it came with the angle grinder, and the bare metal was treated with some white Raptor paint I had spare. The 21x41 slotted Unistrut was marked and cut to allow 2 slots proud of the tank. Wider than our tank, those 2 slots were used as a marker for holes to be drilled in our underbody support sections to support our hook bolts. It really didn't take too long to prepare the underneath of the van, and this is pretty much everything laid out, ready to go on. While the tank is on this table, it's going to give me a great opportunity to tell you guys what all these bits and pieces are for and why we're fitting them. These 2 ribs correspond to beams that run under the bodywork of the van, and what they do is they lock this tank in place and will stop any lateral movement. These 2 bosses at the top of the tank are for our grey waste inlet, one from the sink and one from something else. The 2 at the bottom of the tank, here and here, are for our water outlets. This one will be using the electric solenoid, and the one over here will be using a manual tap. One of our systems in our van is our water level system, and that tells us the water level of our fresh water, but it also tells us the level of our grey waste as well. So before we can wrap the tank, we have to put these into the tank, so as the water level rises, as the water basically breaches between these 2 bolts, it causes a small electrical current to pass between the 2, illuminating a light on our gauge to tell us that our water tank's nearly full. Now normally these things come with a couple of rubber bungs which you will drill out the size of your tank, and as these bolts pass into these rubber bungs, the rubber bungs will swell and breach the hole that you've just made. But because these tanks are fairly thick, what I'm going to be doing is drilling into the tank, tapping the tank out to 5 mil, and then literally with some PTFE tape screwing these bolts direct into the tank.
That's too high.
Too high? A bit lower?
Yeah.
You want the light to come on with plenty of warning?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Oh.
So 20 and 40 mil is between there and there. They had it staggered, didn't they? So
Yeah, that's what I meant. It means to be 20 and 40 that way as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And 20 and 40 that way.
Yeah, yeah. That'll be fine there and there, yeah?
I think you can go further that way.
A bit further that way. That'll be alright?
Yeah.
Happy with that? God, they are thick. So because your bolts screw in clockwise, always wrap your PTFE round anti-clockwise, and then the PTFE doesn't undo as you're trying to bolt it down. There we go. How's that?
Super neat.
Okay, lovely. So I'm just pre-wiring these now prior to wrapping the insulation round. The idea then is that hopefully that will be nice and sealed into place. There we go. I think what we'll do there is pop a bit of tape on that to hold that into place. When we start touring on our van, it's likely we'll be going to some locations where the temperature is going to be below freezing. Now hopefully, because the water that's inside this tank is grey and therefore full of contaminants, it's likely to have a higher freezing temperature because there may be some salts in there from washing up liquid or such the like. So you'll find that the water is likely to freeze at a lot higher temperature, at a lot lower temperature in this than what it normally would. But to just try and safeguard things a little further, we've just got a small little heating pad we're going to put just where the valve of the tank is. These things, as small as they are, do drain quite a lot of electricity out of your battery, so we're only hoping to use it in an emergency. From Facebook recommendations, we wrapped our tank in thermo liner from Harrison's Trim Supplies. The sticky pack liner stuck well, and on all seams we added Gorilla Tape for extra reassurance. So that's all the tank wrapped up and ready to fit. With the tank firmly in place and fitting secure, wires were brought into the van through a gas vent and temporarily fitted to our near side fuse boxes and switch panel. A test showed the valve was working properly, so work continued putting in a camera to allow us to position our waste outlet from the driver's seat. The passenger B-pillar houses the fuel filler pipes, where a rubber grommet can be found to allow external access for our camera cable. Trim was then removed to then allow the cable to pass uninterrupted from our monitor, hidden out of sight. We could now test everything was working by filling our waste tank using the garden hose. Nothing was leaking from the fill side, and our level gauge illuminated when nearing full. On went the monitor, then switched for the dump valve, and all worked as it should, and emptying was sped up by opening the manual valve. We will look at some extra frost proofing on the pipework, and I'm hoping this neoprene wetsuit sock is going to help protect the solenoid from any road spray. That worked really well. Do like and subscribe to our channel at Van Life My Way to follow this conversion of our Citroen Relay into our off-grid mobile home. Find us also on Facebook at My Way Adventure and communicate with our growing network of van lifers and overlanders. In our next vlog, we will show you how we trim our kitchen base unit, in setting the panels to retain the extruded aluminium framework.